This was a vile protest rooted in white supremacy entitled Stop the Islamic Takeover of New York City. I'm the first Muslim mayor of our city. Anti-Muslim bigotry is nothing new to me, nor is it anything new for the 1 million or so Muslim New Yorkers who know this city as our home.
I expect Zohran Mamdani to blame Islamic terror attacks on white supremacy. I expect Zohran Mamdani to proudly claim that Islam is the religion of peace. Matter of fact, Islamists believe that lying is permitted as long as you are lying to protect Islam. It's called taqiyya. It basically allows Islamists to lie, especially when dealing with us infidels, to protect the Islamic agenda. So I expect this level of turd polishing from Zohran Mamdani. I can't really be mad at Zorro for being exactly who he is. But what is absolutely unacceptable is for the mainstream media in America to lie to the American people to disguise the very real threat of radical Islam. I know our media is useless. I expect CNN to tell me that Tim Walz is feeling nauseous because he's going through his masculine menstrual cycle. I expect our media to tell me that Cam Harris is smarter than a fifth grader, but I thought we could at least find some common ground when it came to radical Islam. I thought we could at least be on the same side against an ideology that literally wants to destroy us. But for some reason, Abby Phillip and her pretend friends at CNN, they want us to believe that Zohran Mamdani is the victim of a terrorist attack that was orchestrated by white supremacists. They want us to believe that white Christian nationalists attacked our hero because he's Muslim. CNN is literally blaming an Islamic terrorist attack on the white man. And this didn't happen once, didn't even happen twice. This was not a clerical error. This was not an accidental slip up because CNN blamed the white man 3 times. 15 years ago, Glenn Beck warned us about this. When he was working at Fox News, Glenn Beck claimed that communists and socialists, they would come together and work with Islamists to destabilize and destroy America. At the time, he was ridiculed by the dorks in the mainstream media. This will never happen. This man is insane. Islam isn't a threat. It's the religion of peace. Plus, communists have nothing in common with Islamists. Oh, yeah? On the surface, it might seem like communists in the media and Islamists are the complete opposite. The media believes in the power of feminism, while Islamic women aren't allowed to walk into the backyard without asking for permission. The media plays Scrabble using the LGBT alphabet, while Islamic countries throw the Scrabble board off the side of a building. On the surface, it seems like these two ideologies would be against each other, and eventually they will be, but they do share a commonality. They have one thing that bonds them together, at least temporarily: their severe hatred of America. We have seen far-left wanker spankers and Islamists working together before to destabilize a country. Back in the 1970s, the spankers joined forces with radical Islamists to overthrow the government in Iran. And look at the end result. You know what happened as soon as the Iranian government was overthrown? The Islamists turned on the communists and gave them a complimentary grave in the woke cemetery. Now, with that being the case, you would think The communist media would learn from the lessons of history and be against radical Islam in America. But for some reason, CNN continues to polish the turd, and they are trying to convince us that mythical white supremacy is the real threat. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel's in the description below. Today on the second channel, going to be talking about more dishonest coverage from the mainstream media. I'll explain why the media is partially to blame for both the WNBA and Unrivaled not being taken seriously. The media is once again lying to us. I know. Shocker. They're trying to convince us that Unrivaled is thriving, when the reality is, this dump of a league is barely surviving and they're a huge embarrassing failure. So if you haven't already, click the link in the description below, subscribe to the second channel. Earlier this week, CNN posted a tweet about the Islamic terrorist attack in New York City that is somehow the white man's fault. They eventually deleted the tweet and immediately applied a double dose of Preparation H to their severely bruised caboose because CNN was brutally attacked for insinuating that white man bad. Check out the original tweet for yourself. Hey there, friends! I've got some disappointing news. 2 teenagers from Pennsylvania, they traveled to New York City this weekend. They were looking to spend a romantic day in the park, holding hands and singing, "I love girls with balls." But their romantic getaway was disturbed by an anti-Muslim protest outside of Lord Mamdani's home. These brave teens, they tried to stop the protest with homemade self-defense devices, but they were arrested for defending our Lord. After deleting the tweet, CNN issued a statement on social media claiming that they failed to understand the gravity of the incident. They also claim that they breached their own editorial standards for reporting the news. Editorial standards at CNN? You expect me to believe CNN has editorial standards? You expect me to believe CNN reports the news? You didn't fail to understand the gravity of the situation. As soon as this happened, CNN went into their default defense mode and they completely covered up the fact that Islamists were responsible for this attack. You know, it would be one thing if this were a one-off. It would be one thing if this was an honest mistake. Sorry guys, we made an oopsie! But CNN followed up their failure to honor their editorial standards by doubling down on their failure. Last night, one of the Yentas on The View was a part of the panel on Abby Phillips' primetime dump on CNN. Well, Uncle Casey, was it your personal favorite Yenta Asuncion? No, it wasn't Son hosting. It was the Yenta that's married to the Pepperidge Farm guy. I think her name's Ann Navarro. According to Ann, the attack in New York City last weekend, it was an attempted attack on Zorro Mamdani. Once again, the insinuation here is that white supremacists, white Christian nationalists are attacking Zorro. Now, defenders of CNN, if they exist, they might claim that Ann Navarro is only a contributor. She doesn't host a dump on CNN, so you can't blame the network for her toxic mouth farts. Maybe that's true. Ann Navarro is a contributor at CNN. She comes in once, maybe twice a week, and alternates between contributing toxic mouth farts and potent boodle breeze. Ann Navarro isn't really associated with CNN in the eyes of the mainstream. So maybe you could get away with claiming that this was not CNN's fault. But how would you explain Abby Phillip doing the exact same thing? Watch it for yourself.
The attempt against Mayor Mamdani in New York, who was raised Muslim, was he not? Himself. Yeah. So they're being anti-Muslim.
2 Republicans say Muslims don't belong here after an attempted terror attack against New York's Mayor Zoran Mamdani, and the House Speaker Mike Johnson says nothing really to condemn those comments.
In less than a week, CNN has disguised the threat of radical Islam 3 times. CNN wants you to believe that mythical white supremacy, white Christian nationalists are the real threat. CNN wants you to believe that Americans are attacking Zoran Mamdani because he's Muslim, when the reality is Islamists are attacking Americans because we are infidels. You know, if 9/11 happened today instead of 25 years ago, it would not surprise me if the mainstream media defended Islamists. One of the biggest mistakes I think we made as a country in the years following 9/11, we listened to the government. We listened to Georgie Bush when they told us Islam is the religion of peace. There are a lot of peaceful Muslims. There are a lot of Muslims who are against radical Islam. Hell, many of them were celebrating when the Trumper dismantled the Iranian regime. But that does not change the fact that there are a sizable number of Islamists who want to infiltrate and destroy America. Earlier this morning, Abby Phillip tried to polish the turd. She issued a statement on social media apologizing for lying to her audience last night. Sorry guys, I made an oopsie last night. The bombs thrown over the weekend weren't being thrown at Lord Mamdani. They were being thrown at those evil anti-Muslim protesters. My wording was slightly inaccurate last night, and for that I am pretending to be sorry. For starters, this doofus statement, this doofus apology on social media, this is not enough. If Abby Phillip doesn't issue a correction tonight on her primetime dump, then this statement is meaningless. Plus, it's not her wording that was inaccurate. Your entire narrative is inaccurate. You are blaming the white man for an attack that was carried out by Islamists. Right now, there are people demanding that Abby Phillip should be fired by CNN. With Paramount now owning the network, it is entirely possible that Abby Phillip could get fired. Now, will she be fired over this? Doubtful. But if CNN is looking to revitalize their image, if Paramount wants to save this Titanic, you can't rescue this dump of a network by continuing to put people on TV that are responsible for sinking it to begin with. I have been saying this for years. If there is any chance to save this dump, and that chance is microscopic, but if you want to at least have a chance, you have to eradicate the woke fungus from CNN. And Abby Phillip is 100% infected. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.